It's me again. This truck has been pretty popular with the viewers on the channel, so I'll go ahead and give you a quick walk around. So right now I am doing a partial assembly of the truck, main purpose of which is to make sure that this bed, which every single component of it, including the fenders, is brand new. The only exception being those little filler panels. So what we're doing is we're bolting all that together to make sure everything lines up, all the holes for the fenders and all the other crap line up. Secondly, we're going to put inner fenders, front fenders on, and we're going to measure for the correct wheel size. He's wanting to go with 18s or 19s or whatever. So to do that, you got to have all the panels on it, where they go, and that way you get a reasonably good chance of getting an accurate measurement. Also, killing two birds with one stone with the fit stuff. This bed came from Marquet. Really, really nice quality. Big, thick, heavy gauge stamping. Everything's crisp. Welds look great. Just look at the quality of it. And it's good. All the welds are in the right place. They're machine welded. All the spacing is identical on all of them. It's real impressive. So since we're in the back, part of fitting the bed, rear fenders, also encompasses making sure that everything is good to go with my fuel tank. This is aftermarket aluminum. It's also been modified for a side filler neck. He wants to, well, I'll show you that in a minute. Anyways, this is going to hang off the bottom. It's just setting in here now. The third bed rail, which is that one right there, goes right across here. And with the tank where it's at now, they hit the bottom of it. The bottom of the rail hits the top of the tank, rather. So you have to notch the bottom of the rail to clear the tank and the sending unit and pump assembly. So we're going to square all that away. The owner did not like the fuel in the middle of the bed, which I personally don't either. If you look here, you've got quite a reach to get in there anyways. You can put these here if you want to, but for us to do what we were wanting to do with the fuel filler neck, wasn't possible. So mainly we're just going to try to make sure everything squared up, lined up, make sure the tank, all that squared away. We'll walk around over there and I'll show you kind of what the story is there. All right, we're on this side. So coming down here, like I said, this tank is going to be lower. You can see the filler neck that comes in. A buddy of mine TIG welded it on. It's going to come up right underneath that rail there, and it's going to go into the back side of the fender here. So what we're going to do, depending on where the owner wants to put it, either in here somewhere, kind of around the back, we're going to put a flush fuel cap type thing. Well, it's not focusing very good. We might go with like a motorcycle style where you like push it and it pops out, or just like a one that's got like a hasp on it. Very common what you see with motorcycles, and that'll eliminate having to fill the fuel up from the bed, which is great. And on the subject of that, I'm going to show you the bed wood. Here in my paint booth, which is currently storage. Got a bunch of body parts ready to go. This is the bed wood. Pretty cool. It's ready to go in. Has that, I don't remember what they call it, where you shoot electricity through it, burns it into the wood, and then it's cleared over. Pretty cool. I would have probably stained the wood a little darker color, but I'm more of like a dark wood kind of guy. It's pretty neat, pretty different. And based on that, I wouldn't want to cut a hole in the middle of it and be pouring fuel all over that either. So I think it's neat. It's gonna be something totally different. I don't know what he spent to get that done, but it wasn't cheap. now that we're back out here again, you can see kind of these Willwood disc brake rotors. I believe those are 12-inch rotors. I put my tape measure on them. A couple of people have asked about it, but I haven't had time to fool with it. But you can see we've been rolling it. I don't have the calipers on it because the calipers hit those 15-inch roller wheels, or 14s, whatever they are. So what I also have to do is test fit these guys, which are your fillers, and the running boards, which are brand new. And the running boards have holes in the bottom that mount to those, all three of those. So you got those 3 mount points. Then they've got holes in the back. See those 3 holes? So all those holes got to line up. And then on these guys, these have holes that bolt to the top of there. And then you've got this angle here, and there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong with like alignment problems. The bed itself usually isn't much of a problem, but what you wind up with is with this piece where it comes forward, the gap here looks stupid. It's curved so that it kind of contours around that, but they're almost always off. And then they kind of match the outside curvature here, not to mention trying to get the holes to line up. So I hadn't got far enough to be test fitting those, but that's coming. That is why these are not primed, because I suspect we're gonna have to be cutting, welding, re-drilling holes, fitting, who knows what. Don't know what's in store for me there yet. Interior, it's ready to paint, with the exception of putting some fine seam sealer in the cracks. Truck's really starting to look good. Try to get far enough back here, you can kind of see the whole thing. Really liking it. I've got the front setting on little wood blocks here just to keep the bottom of it just high enough that I can get a jack stand under it, or my low profile jack. I mean, it's pretty low. It would go another probably nearly an inch all the way aired out. So I don't want to do that because I can't get my jack under it. And speaking of the jack, I've got a big rubber pad on it, and I always put a piece of cardboard under there to keep from marring it. So that's kind of where we're at with this thing. Did want to also show you the engine, and I want to show you how I put the front fenders on these things. I work by myself, so some of you that are working on one of these or want to in the future, you might find this a helpful exercise to watch. While we're on the subject of the front of the truck, the engine is here. The guy overhauled a 5.3 liter LS, came out of a 03 or 4 Tahoe, something like that. Doesn't really matter, they're nearly all the same. Had it rebuilt, cam put in it and all that. I'm not 100% sure what cam, so we're gonna show you that. Now the valve covers are not gonna work on this engine. That showed up from the engine builder. They're super cool looking, but they are definitely not gonna work on this truck because they're way too tall. The factory ones are like this tall and they barely clear. Mainly this corner here, this corner here. Here, this has the truck accessory drive with my air compressor brackets that I do sell on my website, brokenwrenchesstore.com. Anyways, the compressor kind of sets right here where the corner of the valve cover is. So no, not gonna work. Bigger problem, which 100% is gonna prevent them from working, is your firewall's about here. This truck is a column shifted automatic, so it's got your linkage that goes here and a power brake booster that's gonna just pretty much eat this whole corner. So they look neat, but they are not gonna work on this engine. Speaking of which, it's pretty much ready to go. Just got to put the intake on. It's running the factory GM intake assembly, but looks pretty good. The transmission is also that same color, and the engine bay is going to be a slightly different color as well. It's going to look pretty cool. Over here is the intake. It's the stock type that the guy that did the engine cleaned real well and then painted. So that's just a typical truck intake. The owner is going to build a custom aluminum cover. It's going to cover all that ugly factory GM stuff. But engine is here. Transmission is a 4L60E. It's a fresh reman, painted to match that engine. Once we get that in there, get the wiring in there, get the thing where we can potentially run it. I do have to paint the firewall first in the interior, and that will really open up the floodgate to allow work to really progress to the finish line on this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the front fenders, inner fenders out. I'm gonna show you an easy way to get them on and off the truck by yourself. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to do this. Essentially, we're going to hook the thing on this welded stud, which is just a bolt that I welded in from the backside. We're gonna hang it on there, secure a washer and nut on the back of it. That'll kind of lock down the fender a little bit. I can pop a one bolt in a hole down there at the bottom, and I can pop this guy in right here, and that will allow me to kind of get the fender on there by myself. It's not too big of a deal. I'm going to show you another tip for putting these guys onto those. This works great whether you got 2 sets of hands or just yourself. These are threaded, right? If you take a bolt and just thread it into the back, run that dude in there as far as you want, then come down here and do another one. We'll see right here. This can make this process a whole lot easier. Doesn't have to go all the way. Let me set you up on the tripod. Take your fender, pick it up, get it where you need it. Hook it in.
Not yet. I'll work on it.
Have to excuse the radio. There's a whirlwind of windstorm going on outside, and I'm monitoring our channels in case we have a grass fire kick off. Anyways, now that you've got a couple of bolts in here, you put the rest of them in, kind of around the perimeter, and then just back your stud ones off. Easy way to line everything up. So what I'm working on right now is trying to get the fit of these kind of squared away along with these running boards. These are aftermarket, beds aftermarket, fenders aftermarket. There's a lot going on right in there, not to mention the mounts underneath for those. So trying to get everything square, get those fit in there, where they sandwich, it's a pain in the butt. There's a little tiny gasket that goes in there. This one I've kind of already got fitting pretty well. Right here, as you can see, well, you can't see, but I've cut off probably a 1/4 inch on that side of where that white metal stops, just to get the contours. Now this cab had cab corners that were done like up to here, so the contours are not identical. They don't like wrap around and come all the way down so you get a consistent curve all the way down, but when you're standing here next to the truck, you want that gap to look pretty nice, kind of like it does now. I'm gonna trim a little bit more off of it to match the edge of that tape, just to give it a pretty consistent gap from when you're standing here looking at it. Back there is okay. Here fits pretty good. Over here on the other side, it's a different story. Haven't got it on there yet, but I'll show you what I mean. That's the other one. Those are factory pieces, so at least I have one variable that I know should be reasonably accurate. Who knows with all this stuff. Oh, fun fact, well, it's not fun at all, actually. This bed was made by Marquet in Oklahoma City, just down the road from me. And they were bought out by new owners. And the new owner, douchebag, he run it into the ground. And this is a local company, only 2 hours from me. They make a beautiful product. I mean, that is first class reproduction. Anyways, they just shut down overnight, probably whatever it was, a month ago. I mean, hung out all their employees to dry. People had bought beds, never received them, even though they paid. And then the guy that done it just got elected to the Corvette something or other museum director, or some lofty position that he had no business getting. So it's kind of created a crap show. I also got the seam sealing done on the cab. Well, what a pain in the butt that is. Interior stuff's not bad, but anywhere where there's a gap where you get water into it, you want a seam seal. And you want a clean job, especially like here. You don't want moisture weeping into that joint. But pretty much anywhere that had a gap that would allow water, you know, anything to get into weld joints. You see, there's some spots were fine, didn't need any, but other spots needed a lot. Same with up here, you know, all of your gaps. This all paints, obviously, so it's got to look pretty good. But figure today you can watch me piddle with stuff. I also have my aftermarket I Did It steering column pulled out, getting it ready to paint. The tailgate, which was totally whacked, pretty much ready to go back on, nearly ready for paint. I've got the truck's hinges. Need to do a little filler work on them. These are original hinges. In an older video, you may have watched me do some stuff, but I've got to weld those pinholes up. The hinges work great. They've all been rebushed and pinned. Anyways, those will all get painted after a little bit of filler work. I just don't like rust pitting on all them. So let's dive into this. Figured I'd show you something else underneath the truck. I'm down there getting the rear cab mount guys, the weird little leaf shackle looking thing tightened up, but wanted to show you my air ride setup. If you've already watched one of my old videos on this truck, you've already seen it. Sorry. That's the air tank over there on that side. And then I've got all my pumps and stuff right here. So hang on 2 seconds, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Roll under this thing. All right. So I'm underneath the cab. Let me move that light. This stuff's all dusty, but we're underneath the cab of the truck. I got a block in here kind of holding the cab up where I need it. I can't finish my metal filler panels to the bed till I get the cab square. That's my Ford 9-inch. So I built this tray. It's got all my solenoids and my dual air pump. So I'll show you how it works. All right, so I got the bolt out that goes into the frame up there. Just go like this. my lines untangled. Oh, I put a zip tie on it. All right. So that just drops down like that. That way you can change your air pumps, fix lines, solenoid goes bad, whatever you need to do. This is how it works. It goes up into the stowed position with the bolt through the frame there. And this thing's got a welded nut on it, so it just bolts it right up to the frame. So back when I first got into the trade, trying to professionally restore cars and trucks, I underbid jobs catastrophically for the simple fact that reproduction parts don't fit very good. And I just didn't realize how poorly the quality control was managed or not managed when it came to the industry rebuilding parts, you know. Because a fellow would think that if all this work went into designing this little part and all the stamping and all that went through it, that, you know, it would fit. But I learned the hard way, that ain't the case. So if we were to take this fender and it was a factory part, and that running board and it was a factory part, how long would it take me, say it's painted already, to put on the truck? I mean, it would be a matter of setting it down, putting bolts in the holes, which would be 6 on the bottom, 1, 2, 3 there, and then a couple for that little filler piece, and it'd be done. So maybe an hour. So that should take, let's say, an hour to put on. So that's what I would put in a bid as far as the construction part of it. Paint and body, obviously, that part of it wouldn't figure into that. But so let's just say if I went slow, it'd take an hour to put that on there. So I'll keep a tab on how long it actually takes, and we'll see where we wind up. I'll just show you the steps that I go through to try to see how it's going to work out. Very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to punch that hole, and that hole, and the corresponding ones in the fender. I'm going to punch them up about one size, and by size I mean like on a step bit, that guy. So it's just barely stepping it up any, because if those holes aren't perfectly lined up, it's not going to be a big deal. If the hole's just a tiny bit oversized, it's, you know, where it fits around the contour here, that's what matters. So if those holes are just augured just a hair to give it a little bit better chance of popping a bolt in, then we're good. First thing I'm gonna do, punch them holes, and then I'll secure the running board to the frame. And these are the mounts, solidly mounted to the frame. The cab is pretty much square where it needs to be on the frame, as is the bed. I've got the bolts in there at all 4 corners. Everything's lined up nice and square. So I know the bed is where it needs to be, the cab is where it needs to be, and the factory frame mounts for that are where it need to be. So I'm gonna mount that to the frame, and then whatever is going on here, you'll be along for the ride. Okay. Yeah, Lord. A little bit awkward. Alright, so my fender here, it's just hanging on 2 or 3 bolts, so I can kind of move that around. I'm going to crawl around, see if I can get these holes to line up. Once I get this rigid, we'll move on to the next step. So I got the thing on there, and right away, the running board's out just a little. There's a little bit of adjustment on these brackets, but you can see right there, there's no way that I can scoot that thing in farther. See how it's got this hook on it? It had already touched the fender. Now I haven't done any major body work, this is just primer. And that's why, because I know during the fit process you gotta do some work, but look how poorly shaped that end is. And that's like a folded up section with like 2 different layers. Anyways, once I fix that, I can scoot it in. The other problem we're looking at here is the vertical misalignment. See those holes? I'm gonna stick a bolt here through the hole in the running board down here, kind of straight where it needs to be. And you can see, I mean, that is a good, nearly a ½ inch too low. So what needs to happen here is the fender needs to rotate down. Like I said, that's rigidly mounted to the frame, so that's not going anywhere. Not going anywhere, not going anywhere, not going anywhere. This is the only thing I can move. So that needs to rotate down nearly a ½ inch. And here, it's like they've already figured in a bunch of poor fit issues by slotting all the holes in this reproduction fender. But as you can see, it needs to go down a ½ inch more, and it's already as far as it can go in relation to that hole. So there's some more up there, another one there. That's one of 3 bolts I've kind of got on here. Back there, same thing. Now if you look at that bolt, it's maxed out. So the fender kind of needs to go up all the way down, kind of like this. But we're maxed out there. We're maxed out there. So it can't go any lower. You see like this hole here, I mean, you can see daylight over the top of the running board. So what do we do? So I'm gonna have to probably pop this bolt out because the whole fender's kind of hanging on it. I'll pop that guy out and probably have to slot a bunch of holes more, which I don't like to do, but we got no other option. So I got that top bolt out, which is what was holding the fender kind of high. And when I popped it loose, we got a big old gap up here, which is because the fender's not connected hardly, except for a bolt there and then behind me. But I dropped it down far enough where I could kind of get a bolt, this outside one, because of the angle we're dealing with. I got it in there and just kind of has it kind of pinned, so at least one bolt is where it needs to be. So these ones aren't close because the fender's still way too high. You can see it's hanging on this 3/8 bolt. If you look here, you can still see the hole a little bit. I'll stick this. This is a 1/4 20 bolt. It's supposed to have a 3/8 bolt, but see with the 1/4 20 bolt there, it just kind of right at the very top of the slot. So a 3/8 bolt would be like that. So I think what I'll do is put a nut and a washer on that, just kind of sort of keep it together. And we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get this fender to kind of get it clamped, whatever we got to do to get it somewhat attached to that, so I can mark what I need to do with the holes to get it where I can get a bolt straight through into the bed panel. So I'm gonna kind of piddle around with that for a second. So I got that 3/8 bolt out. It was right there, and that allowed me to slip the front of the fender down a little bit. This is a 1/4 20 bolt, like I said, loosely. And that movement allowed me to get the second hole lined up. So I've got 2 bolts in, which pretty much means that's kind of where it needs to be in relation to this. But that hole, I mean, that's just stamped in the wrong place. So there's nothing I can do with that one other than just auger both sides of the hole out a little bit. All right, so I have, out of 8 holes, I have 1, 2, 3 that will actually work right now with a 3/8 bolt where they need to be. And I have 1, 2 that are relatively close. And then the other 3, I mean, try to get it focused. The other 3, not even in the ballpark. So I'm gonna have to just, I guess, get in here with the cutoff wheel and just zip that off where it's at least the same contour, and I can pull these together. So when I pull those together there, it's gonna kind of go whoop on this end, so it might move that panel that way just a hair. So I'll get the tools out and we'll try to that guy. Well, I got a masking tape line that I'm gonna chop. Just zip off that whole corner and I clean it up later. Not gonna do any welding at this point until I get that one figured out. So I'm gonna have to do a little welding there and the one over there. So I'll get it to where I can do all the welding at once. That's better. Still a little bitty tiny part on the inside I can't get to. I'll have to tap in with a hammer, but I'm not gonna pull the fender off just to do that. So I should be able to pull this fender back into it, get the bolt back into it, and then I kind of figure out what we gotta do there. Then when that's done, we can try that little catastrophe. Well, that's a sight better. Pretty good there. I'm happy with that. I'm also happy with the general appearance all the way around. Not so much happy with that and that and that. Come on, focus. Those holes are not even in the same zip code. The weird thing is, all three of those 3/8 bolts, all the holes line up. 1 foot away, and you're a 1/2 inch off all of a sudden. And then that carries on all the way around. So how do you get a 1/2 inch off a foot away from another one? Anyways, so what I'm gonna do at this point is I'm gonna drill a sheet metal screw right here down low, back there down low. That'll give me a dead-on alignment point that will allow me to put this panel right back in the exact same place when I put it back on. All right, well, let the games begin. This part is a factory piece. Got a few dings in it, but no rust, good condition. So I am hoping that it gives us the best possible shot we have of successfully mating all these panels. Let's see. Okay. Well, here's what we got. Fits great, top and bottom. That joint's good, that joint's good. This little complicated area here is good. Not crazy about how that gap gets big up there. Worse though, is here. That's terrible. It ain't right. Right there at the corner, it's the gap that it needs to be, but it just really opens up bad on the way down. So I do not like that at all. It's terrible. How to fix it though? So we'll go take a gander at the other side, just for size comparison. I can get my finger right there all the way to my second joint. Go to the other side. That's more like what it should look like. And same finger, no matter which way I try to get it in there, not even close. So we need 3/8 of an inch wrapped all the way down, at least to about here. So how do we fix it? We could cut more of that one off, make that gap bigger. That would be the easy way out. Only other option is to do some kind of a pie cut here and take that piece and go whoop. I'll do the same thing there. That'll be easy, just a little split, push it open, weld it back. This one, we're talking more like it's way off. Like this needs to be way up here. So I don't know. What do I want to do? Any ideas? I don't have it. Any good ones? Let me think about it for a minute. Well, I've thought about it, and there ain't no good way to do it. The easiest way to do it would be to not do anything, just leave it. It's good enough for the factory, but it ain't good enough for me. It just looks terrible. The other side is pretty much done, so I think the best way to get this done, most cost effective, more importantly for the owner, is to just take a thin piece of metal shaped exactly like this and just weld it right to the end, right along this joint. Trim it to fit where it just sticks out farther. So basically I'm just extending this a little bit all the way up through here. So it'll be kind of a follow this kind of contour. It's all measured out. We're good from here down. Up here we're 4.5 millimeters too far that way. So I'll be splitting this one, pushing that way 4.5 millimeters, and it'll just kind of taper off down to right there. Over here, a little more complicated. To get my 1/4 inch gap all the way down to match the other side, it needs to be a 1/4 inch gap to about here. So to do that, I've got to add 20 millimeters at that, 0.14, 8.5, 4.5, anyways. That's how far out we'll be moving it, to there, and then it'll just kind of, by eyeball, it'll just kind of taper it off. That part of it will be the same, as you can see here. So the panel overall is going to be a little bit longer. So here's what I got. I made me a patch, or a template rather, out of just cardstock paper, which I save all the time. I traced it out, and if you could envision this being a flat piece of metal, that's what it's going to be. Just kind of got that contour pretty well matched. Right where they butt together, that'll be like a welded seam. Here's the piece. So maybe just kind of help you visualize what we're doing here. Something like that. And this will be pretty much the same as the metal piece that I'll put in here. And it will close that gap up. Well, it has been transferred to the metal. Plus a little extra that I added to fit around the little dog leg. But now the fun part will come, cutting that sucker out. It's not easy to cut corners like that. Well, I got my little patch piece made. Now I've just got to bend it around so that it will match up with my contours here. Kind of thing. Figure out how I want to do that. It's going to weld on right there. Well, this is what I got here. If that ain't one of the more bizarre patches I've made in my lifetime. Well, I guess we wouldn't call it a patch. Anyways, the hard part is going to be keeping it from, you know, doing this and trying to roll up on me. It's going to be slow going. It's going to be in there something like that. Well, this is what I got rigged up here. I'm trying to keep this level across here. It's pretty difficult going around the corner with the skinny piece. Kind of got it clamped in here. Like this. So I'm going to get the welder set up, and we'll start very, very slowly tacking this thing in there. Hard part here is going to be keeping everything square, keeping this metal from trying to roll around and open or close my gaps. It's going to require a little bit of filler, but I don't want so much that it looks ridiculous. My welder's turned down about as low as I can get it so it doesn't blow through, so it might be poppy. Pretty good. Sorry, it might be a little out of focus here for a second. Keep it rolled down. This metal's so thin I can bend it pretty easy. That's looking pretty good, actually. Tank popped off. And weld nothing without a good ground. Well, now that this side is looking pretty acceptable, we're going to go down to the other end and open it up at the top so we can get our gap right. So we'll switch ends and do a little bit of work there. So if you're wondering what we're doing here is when this was on the panel, it's bolted up like this, you know. Well, the gap here was way too wide compared to here. It was a pretty consistent gap here, but then it got bigger and bigger and bigger here, which is because that aftermarket fender is not shaped the same way. So I pie cut it, well, cut it, and then we're just opening it up just a little bit, pulling it out to close up the gap, bringing this piece here closer towards me, which would be up against the fender, and then re-welding it. So my welding gap here is practically the Grand Canyon, and up here it's the width of a 16th inch cutoff wheel. Actually, I think it's less than 16th inch. But, so I gotta very carefully and very slowly try to bridge all this gap. You gotta hit it in more than one shot when the gap's real big. It'll just blow out and turn into an even bigger Grand Canyon. I'm gonna clean the metal off of there real quick and right here, and I'm gonna continue stitching this all the way together until we get it solid, and then I can grind her down. Well, that's a lot better. Don't know how it fits yet, but this outer edge is the factory edge. It's a little bit lumpy. There's a little bit of a dingleberry there, but it's factory crimp mark, just like this one right here is. About to go put it on the truck, see how it works. See, I added 2.5 millimeters up here at the top and then just tapered it down to 0 at that end. And that's that side there. That really turned out really good, actually. I went ahead and bent that edge over right there. So it's kind of got, sorry, it won't focus. See what I'm talking about? Give it a little strength. We're gonna go put it on the truck, see how it fits. Well, the downside to this thing fitting in here a little snugger is I have to take the running board loose in the back to get it in there now. But that's okay. I would much rather have it fit good. Okay. Very carefully get this up where I need it, like so. Slide the running board back under it. There, now it's not going to go anywhere. So I will go ahead and put the clamps on it. Alright. Well, I got it all popped in there. I gotta tell you, my OCD is much more happy with that. Yeah, it's a nice consistent gap all the way around. That's also much better. There's a little rubber kind of that goes in between them, but that's much better. In fact, it's better than the other side, which is kind of partially factory. Or part of it is anyways. But at least both sides are much, much closer to matching the good consistent gap, both sides. Makes me happy. We're gonna go ahead and call it quits on this one. The videos that I do on this truck are pretty random, kind of hit or miss. That's because it isn't my truck, and sometimes it isn't convenient to record everything. And since the customer's paying for it, I can't justify making it a good, highly detailed, step-by-step process. So I give you what I can, and appreciate you watching. Thank you.